Okay, Jeff from Didris Consulting again. This video now is going to focus on the draw from the holster. Draw from the holster to on target. Okay, and using a red dot optic in order to do that, not iron sights. So this focuses on drawing the gun from the holster, using a red dot optic and getting your dot to appear on target, okay? All right, so obviously we start with the gun in the holster. Where your hands are is where you start with your hands is up to you, as long as you're not hovering over the gun like this. If you're gonna hover over the gun, then you just go to the alert position. The alert position for us is primary hand on the gun. That grip is already formed. The retention devices are still active on the holster, but my thumb is ready to disengage them right away, okay? So this is a really good position. It's less of a footprint than having the gun out and visible, obvious. But it sets you up for success, I think, definitely a little bit better. And it is certainly a quicker form of draw than if we're just starting at wherever our hands are and reaching for the gun, okay? But for the purposes of this video, we're gonna start with hands free, basically hands relaxed. So that can be straight down here at your sides. It can be up here in this sort of FI position, like you're looking at somebody's driver's license or verifying their ID, or even fucking texting, right? That's a good place, because this is kind of where we do all that stuff with our phones. But for the purposes of this, I'm gonna start with my hands relaxed at my side. I prefer this because I like when my primary hand is on the bottom portion of the holster. That kind of indexes my brain to exactly where that gun is. I know if I just bring my hand straight up, there's my grip, and it's properly aligned with the grip, and I'm forming that good grip, or able to form that good grip quickly with my primary hand. Your support hand, this is something that I feel very strongly about. Anytime this hand moves, this hand needs to move also. Your support hand is more, I hesitate to say more important, because I think it's probably going to cause create some waves. But I actually do kind of believe my support hand is more important than my primary hand. My primary hand is there to grip the gun, yes, but that's not its primary function. Its primary function is to create a platform for my trigger finger, to do this, to move from the second knuckle forward to the pad at a 90-degree angle, pressing that trigger straight to the rear. If I over grip the gun with this hand, it starts locking up the ligaments and tendons and all the whatever's inside my hand, and you wind up with trigger freeze when you start trying to fire rapidly or multiple rounds in succession. So this grip is, yes, it's firm, but I'm not squeezing blood out of the gun with this hand. This hand, I am. This hand is very firm. It's very tight. This hand, for me, is what controls movement of the gun from here to on target, and it also helps. This is the hand that manages the most recoil while firing, okay? So, hands relaxed. Anytime this hand moves to the gun, this hand moves to my center line, okay? Because the way that I describe the draw is I don't want to draw to the target. I want to draw to this hand. I'm drawing to this hand, and then this hand, my support hand, is the hand that is gripping, lifting, and pressing the gun into the target. I don't want to see setting the gun on the target. I don't want to see bowling the gun up to the target. What I want to do is I want to meet this hand, form the grip, and I want to stab the muzzle into the target, right where I want to shoot, okay? Right where I'm trying to hit, like center mass of my target. So I'm stabbing the muzzle into the target like this, while simultaneously gripping the shit out of the gun with my support hand and beginning to prep the trigger, taking the slack out of the trigger, okay? So from this position, your stance makes a difference. However you stand with your feet, let your feet be what they are. The important part is your hips and your shoulders be square to the target, or at the very least, your shoulders are square to the target, okay? Because in order to shoot the isosceles correctly, your arms need to be equally extended from both shoulders to the gun. The gun becomes the apex of both of your arms. If we start getting into this modified Weaver stuff, yes, it works. Yes, it's successful. Yes, that's how I was taught when I first began this job, way the fuck back when. But that push-pull tension here, using the modified Weaver stance, is less consistent. It's difficult, if not impossible, to replicate the same push-pull tension from one shot to the next, or every time you draw the gun. So from the isosceles stance, my hips and shoulders are square to the target. My hand is down here, indexed on the bottom of the holster, so I can feel exactly where that holster is. My primary hand comes straight up to the grip. At the same time, my support hand is moving to my center line, moving to my belly button waist area, okay? Straight up, I achieve that grip, and all these Safariland holsters, the retention devices are designed to release with a downward push. Yes, the retention lever here, moves on an arc to the rear of the holster, but it's not necessary for us to physically sweep that thing backwards in a backwards motion. We can press straight down and the lever will move to the rear on that arc on its own. So it simplifies the process of disengaging the retention devices. So I'm coming straight up, straight back down into my grip, releasing the retention device. My hand is very high on the back strap, as high up on the back strap as I can get it. That decreases leverage when the gun fires. Releasing that retention device, my support hand has moved to center line, waiting to receive the gun. I rotate the muzzle forward, not doing this, okay? If you're doing this, then there's other things we need to work on. The muzzle clears the holster, it rocks forward, pivots forward, oriented towards the target. I move that gun to my support hand. I'm drawing to this hand. I'm forming that grip. It's tightening up. My support hand lifts and presses the muzzle into the target. My finger has moved to the trigger. I'm beginning to take the slack out of the trigger, and then as soon as that dot lands, I'm able to press the trigger. Okay? So again, from here, oftentimes it's fine to just maybe stage your hand on your belt buckle, okay? Nothing wrong with that at all. But if this hand happens to be somewhere else, then just move the hand to the center line here, ready to receive the gun when this hand starts to move to the grip. So I'm straight up to the grip, back down, retention device released, muzzle comes up towards the target, press it or meet my support hand here, form my grip hard, slack out of the trigger, dot lands, bang, I shoot the gun, okay? So at speed, it looks like that, right? Notice where the gun is meeting this hand, right? It's meeting it's meeting my hand right here. When we start drawing to the target instead of drawing to my support hand, you wind up with this. This hand is chasing the gun forward, right? And I'm not actually achieving my grip until I'm already on target and now trying to align my sights or find my dot. By doing this, it gives you the opportunity to fuck up your grip. Okay, you see where that is? This finger is way forward on the trigger guard. It should be back here on touching that knuckle, right? But that's the result of my hand chasing the gun forward and catching the gun up here. I don't want to catch the gun out here. What I want to do is put the gun in this hand and then let this hand drives the gun forward, okay? Just like this, all right? Now, let's say it's July and August out here in Phoenix. It's 120 degrees. Your hands are sweaty. You've been out in the sun all day. You're tired because you just finished. You know, you're at the end of the 4-hour training block or whatever it is, and you fuck up the grip here with your primary hand. Initially, you do this big gap here underneath the up against the tang of the grip. You're not high enough. When this gun gets to your support hand, fix this grip. Okay, take that brief moment. What I do is I grasp the gun like this because I can feel this is all jacked up. I grasp the gun like this, I move my hand up, I get it centered, and then I roll that hand into place. okay? It's a minor fix. It gives you a little bobble that might be like 1 or 2/10 of a second, but it's totally worth the time. Like, it is absolutely worth the effort to fix that grip before you start shooting. Because if you start shooting like this, with this big gap in here, you can grip it tight, but that gap right there causes the muzzle to flip all over the place. And it doesn't set your finger up in the right place to hit the trigger, all right? So my recommendation is, if you booger up the grip to begin with, fix the grip first, compress that support hand, take the slack out, and then continue through with the rest of your presentation on target, okay? The last thing I want to point out is fast hands. Fast hands. I don't want you to necessarily shoot as fast as you can. I want you to be ready to shoot sooner. And the only way you do that is by moving your hands more quickly. So when you're practicing, I want initially practice this at a reasonable speed to where you can be accurate and precise with what you're doing, and you can remember all the steps, hand moving up to your center line, achieving that good grip here, rotating the muzzle forward, bringing it to this hand, prep the trigger, let the dot drop into the target, okay? So start at a reasonable speed in order to learn the actual movements precisely. At a certain point, though, you're going to start moving more quickly, because this is not necessarily a difficult thing to accomplish, to grip a gun, prep the trigger. So I want these hands to move quickly. When we're conducting these drills, what we don't expect, what we don't want to see, what is deemed wrong, is the drill begins, and that's the speed at which everything is happening. I don't want that to happen. I don't want you to take your time. There is a time to take the time, but it's not during the drill, and it's not what you're trying to accomplish is not to stay at this sort of lazy, no sense of urgency kind of presentation. What I want you to do is move your hands fast. I want you to move your hands quickly, right? I want that hand to, especially to get it out of the holster, to move quickly, right? I'm doing this. So I want you to move quickly in order to get the gun out there quickly, because the faster you get the gun out there, the quicker you get your sight on your dot on the target, the more time you have to then shoot. And if it happens to be center mass up here versus center mass down here, what does this require? This requires more precision. It requires a more deliberate trigger press. It requires a refined sight picture with the dot on the target, because it's smaller, right? The target, the accuracy requirement of the target determines your speed. So get the gun out of the holster as quickly as you can every single time, regardless of the target, right? If you have a large margin for error, then that gives you all the time in the world to get the shots out you need to. If that's a target with a small margin for error, it gives you the time to refine your sight picture, be more deliberate and precise with your trigger press, and then get the hit that you want. Okay, so the draw from the holster, from any hand position, draw to the hand, prep the trigger on the way to the target. Draw to your support hand, prep the trigger on the way to the target. And work on fast hand speed. Okay? That's the draw from the holster. Thank you very much. We'll get on to the next one.